Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. How is everybody doing out there? I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here. And I am very excited to be here with you guys tonight for another edition of the Amateur Otaku Podcast, where we talk about the anime that we love, that we enjoy, but more than anything, the anime that we believe that you should be checking out. So thank you for joining us. And as usual, I am not doing this by myself because there is no way that I can talk anime alone. I am always accompanied by the one, the only, the mad Hashina Isaac Wolf. What is up, man?
I thought we said earlier today, I'm not mad here.
It's in your name. I don't put the word mad before Doc Isaac because I believe that by looking at your avatar is implied that you're mad. Okay?
That's just because I'm funny.
I mean, it's implied. It's implied. Can you see yourself? Look, you are the mad Doc Isaac. Everybody, look at that face. Look at that face. Mad Dog Isaac is undeniable, sir. Just embrace it. It's who you are. It's your identity. It's either I call you Mad Dog Isaac or I call you Doc the Pun Master Isaac. So which one do you want? You got to pick one.
Did you? Yeah, can continue with
that. Mad Duck. Thank you, sir. How's everybody doing out there? Thank you for joining us. Isaac, I'm excited.
By the way.
I'm excited to be here with you and to talk anime. So, are you excited to talk about this particular show that we are covering tonight?
It shall be interesting.
Okay. Now, before we decided to cover this show, did you have any interest in the show? Have you seen it before? What's your position on it?
I just heard of it, and I just thought might watch it later because it looks funny, but there are more there were other animes on the priority.
Okay. So this wasn't an anime that stood out to you like something that you wanted to prioritize, is what you're trying to say. This wasn't one of those animes that was like on the top of your list? Is that what you were trying to say?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, this is one of those shows that I knew, similar to Jujutsu Kaisen when it came out last year. When Demon Slayer came out, I kept hearing from everybody how great this show was, or how great this show looked, and how it was something that I should check out. And I checked it out a little bit ago. Like I saw the show like from episode 1 to episode 21, maybe a year ago, and I finally finished it now because most of the times, because I mostly don't have a lot of time, I focus my anime viewing time to look at shows that I'm going to cover with you here when I cover with you in that Amateur Otaku. So I focus on watching those shows because I really don't have a lot of time. But I'm really happy that we finally got the opportunity to watch it now and that we're able to talk about it because this was one, if not the biggest anime of 2019. And not only that, the movie is like the biggest thing overseas right now, to the point that it's making even more money.
That's an understatement.
yeah, that's even making even more money than the biggest anime movie of all time in Japan, which used to be Spirited Away, right? That was like the biggest money making movie in theaters.
Your name went,
Was it Your
didn't
Name?
it? Crossover.
Okay, so Your Name. So Your Name was the biggest one ever to make money in Japan, right?
I believe it was first. I believe it first was Princess Mononoke, then Your Name, and now Demon Slayer. But I can be wrong.
Okay, but still, the fact that something like Demon Slayer, that's like, it's a great anime movie, it's a great anime show, but it's like very specific. It's not like Princess Mononoke is an epic. Your Name is like a more slice of life fantasy um, romance kind of thing. Like Demon Slayer is something completely different, and I think it has to do a lot with, which I know we're going to talk about it in depth in when we talk about the show. I think it has to do a lot with the style of the show and the way it tells a story. Because I think there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a there's a way that this story is narrated that I think it feels very classic samurai story. You know what I mean? It feels like, if I get a lot of sense, like, if I know you haven't played the game, but I know that you've probably seen one of the latest PS4 games before the PS5 came out was Ghost of Tsushima, which was this
Yeah,
show
I've
that
seen that one.
that was a samurai tale, in the vein of the great director Akira Kurosawa, which is one of the greatest directors of all time, especially of samurai epics of from Japan. So it has that sense. It has that like heritage from it. Does that make sense? Like it has a sense of mystery. It takes itself seriously. It of course has a lot of funny anime moments, like most anime do. But more than anything, it feels like you're watching this epic. You know what I mean? It feels grown up in that sense, or it feels old school in that sense, in the way that, for example, My Hero doesn't have that air to it. Does that make sense? Because My Heroes, of course, is very contemporary in the way it's telling its story. I think this one has a lot of things to offer, and I'm excited that we're covering finally. If you guys like what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, make sure to go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click on the bell for notifications so you do not miss any episodes. Today, we had the privilege of doing 2 episodes. We did a stream earlier today where we started our coverage of The Promised Neverland Season 2. And now we're covering Demon Slayer. And we give you 2 episodes every week. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you hit the like button and press on the bell so you don't miss any episodes. Isaac, I'm ready to talk Demon Slayer at length. Are you ready, my friend?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and read a quick summary of the basis of the show, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here is a quick summary of Demon Slayer. Tanjiro is a young boy that supports his family by selling coal and performing odd jobs at the nearby town closest to his family's home in the mountains. One day, after a hard day's work, he fails to return home due to the dangers that lurk in the night, to then find his family slaughtered by a demon in the morning. Though broken by the tragedy, he finds in himself the strength to carry his sister Nezuko to the nearest doctor, as it appears that she is the only one that has survived the attack. To his surprise and to his detriment, not only has his sister survived, but she has been turned into a demon. Challenged by Giyu Tomioka, a demon slayer, and the faith that his sister is still alive within her new demon self, Tanjiro vows to grow in strength and become a demon slayer and find a way to make his sister human again. This is Demon Slayer, written by the great Koyoharu Gotōge, directed by Haruo Sotozaki, and produced by ufotable. So I think from that summary, let's talk first from that pilot, right? Which I think
Yeah.
the pilot does a lot to describe the kind of show that this show is. It's interesting how this pilot is only every episode is what 23, 24 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But because of the type of storytelling that it does, is it just me or is this one of those pilots that feels that is longer as opposed to being a short thing? You know what I mean? It
Not exactly.
like to me it feels well. What I mean by that is that it is able to it is able to say so much in very little time, but it doesn't feel rushed. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean like that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a show that's very tight. There's the pacing is very good, but it doesn't feel like it's dragging, but it doesn't feel that it goes on too quick. Like I felt that the pilot felt like a 40-minute pilot as opposed to being a standard 23 minutes. Like there's so much story that happens in such clear and nice way that I am really able to grasp what the show is about. And I think that's the first thing that drew my attention to the show. The pilot is like super strong. You know, because there's some shows that you kind of don't get a grasp of what it's about till like episode 4 or 5. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this one from the get go, you get a clear idea of what you are to what you're gonna see.
Yeah. Yeah. That depends on how you view it.
What are your thoughts?
In at the beginning, with the pilot and all, the series come off as a sort of like a, I wouldn't say Attack on Titan series, but it comes off as sort of like a um, fantasy drama epic, so to speak, about this fantasy world with demons and humans, etc. You get what I mean?
So when you're saying that, like, it feels lighthearted, like it's a light story as opposed to a serious, heavy-handed story like Attack on Titan, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like it feels more like it felt more like Bleach, but without constant gags. You know what I mean?
Yes, I could see what you're saying.
So,
Like this is
but
like
then
it's like it's
later on, it ends up become self-aware and breaking the fourth wall and have gags like I'm walking in Tama, and I'm just what? And I'm just did I switch series?
well, I think I know what you're saying, and I don't want to jump too far ahead because I think what you're saying is mostly related to the last 3 episodes of the season, which tends to which
They have gags throughout the season.
but they're the worst towards the end. They get
Yeah,
they're worse. Right, right.
absolutely.
But then again, those are kind of like filler episodes, and you know that they're like training montage, filler episodes, stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that the comedy or the gags that they do derail the show because in terms of whenever the show is telling the story and you get the fights with the demons, the show is nitty gritty, serious, and fantastic. And you don't want to forget that this, of course, is not going to be that Attack on Titan show that is serious from from start to finish. This is not that show. But now I wouldn't say necessarily that it changes styles dramatically. I would just say that when it comes to different characters that it introduces, it presents different layers and different ways for you to catch your breath because of how dark the story can get at times very quickly, because this is one of those shows that it really doesn't let you breathe, especially
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah,
first
yeah,
10
yeah,
to
yeah,
12
yeah.
episodes.
I get what you mean. You need to have some comic reliefs to just ease the tension. I'm uh, I'm not gonna disqualify that argument. However, this is sort of like how if how should I put it? They are trying to make Dragon Ball some serious drama, and then when he meets Kamisenin, they are becoming a sitcom with superpowers. Because it gets even worse when what's the character's name? Since Agatsuma, then it gets even worse.
You mean Zenitsu?
Yes, and it gets even worse then.
I mean, see, I I don't want to focus too much on that because part of me thinks you're being a bit too drastic with that take. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I don't think that kind of
Don't get me wrong. I can see this appeal of the show. I to some degree liked it, but it was but I can't. I can't say that this series is. It's sort of like Jujutsu Kaisen, so to speak. But I feel that this has more of an identity crisis than what Jujutsu Kaisen had. That's
see,
that's with how I think the whole gags and seriousness fits between them. Yes, they are children, so you should have some gags to because they don't act super immature and all that. Yes, but there is a difference between comedy and comedy.
see, and that's the thing. I don't think this show has an identity crisis. I don't think that this one applies for that because for example, in the case of Jujutsu Kaisen, the show goes out of its way to tell you, hey, we're borrowing from this. You know what I mean? Like Jujutsu Kaisen goes out of its way to make itself super, super relatable and super, super hip or present in today's day and age. Demon Slayer walks the line if you have a character that's meant to push that line. Because whenever those characters are not in the show or are not in a scene, the show goes back to its normal rhythm. So it does have its standard rhythm, its standard line, its standard identity, a standard um, type
Yeah,
of storytelling and focus.
yeah,
So
yes.
so 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 I think just to say that what happens with these characters warps the show or makes it warp the identity, I think goes a little too far from my take. Now, your take is valid. How you feel and how you take it is completely valid. And because, we're different and that's okay. But from my point of view, I feel that's taking it a bit far because like for example, I would agree with you if whenever Tanjiro was in the scene with these people, with for example Inosuke and Zenitsu, and he would stop being Tanjiro and act like someone else, then I would understand. But Tanjiro never changes. He's always the same kind of kind character that he is, no matter what character he's with. You know what I mean? His personality doesn't warp and stuff like that. The
Yeah,
personality of other characters doesn't warp because of these characters that are being outlandish. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
so
but those Saintsu and Inosuke is sort of like, how should I put it? What's that series called? Put Kid if you put Kid Goku in Attack on Titans, it sort of felt like that.
I don't think it's that dramatic though. That's the thing. I don't think it's that dramatic. Because everything that they do is ingrained to the world they're in. It doesn't feel out of place though. Like for example, the reason Zenitsu is the way he is because he doesn't want to be a demon slayer. Because he understands
Yeah, but,
the dangers of it.
yeah, you can have a character that is a bit comedic about he's scared, but not to the point that you wish constantly say shut up and wish they gets the axe any by any second now.
What do you mean?
He was so there's a difference between being a scary pants and being annoying, and
No,
sort
no,
of like
and
Krillin
that's totally understandable. You find Zenitsu
and
annoying. Just say
Krillin
it.
in Dragon Ball that also is kind of like a scary pants. He's never annoying. He's a comedic character, yes, but he is never written annoying. And Dragon Ball is meant to be a more light-hearted show, mere comedic show, and this is from the mangaka that love gags and puns and a joke. I mean, he's the new threat in Dragon Ball Super is named after cereals.
I mean, but to say that Zenitsu is annoying, it's valid, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't belong in this world, though. It doesn't mean that he don't fit. He's just the other end of the spectrum. That's the way I see it, because he's not the only
You
one
can
that
you can have a character that is scared, but he's forced to be apart. I'm not saying that it totally fits within this lore, on that there's some that might not want to be demon slayers. I'm not saying that whatsoever. It's the execution of that character that I will that I want that is so horribly executed, because you want to strangle him as soon as he starts speaking. And that's never a good thing, especially when that character is supposed to be is obvious, supposed to be the comedic relief.
I can understand what you're saying. I can understand what you're saying. To me, I think you're on one side of the spectrum when it comes to Zenitsu, because I think there's going to be the type of people, like for example, in my case, I can I can I can oversee I can get over the fact that he can be annoying, because whenever he actually gets down and dirty, he's pretty badass. See, I can get over that. Now, if you are not able to get over that, I can understand why. I can understand why. Like he's a character that you rather not watch and skip and go back to where Tanjiro's by his own. I can understand that, and I can understand that. But I think the only thing that I don't agree with is that to say that the selection of a character like that in the show affects the identity of the show. I
Not
don't
the selection, the execution.
see. I don't agree. I think that you simply don't like the character. I think it's which is two different
Like
things.
I, like I said, you can have characters like that, and it doesn't misfit, and it doesn't isn't annoying. Look at Krillin in original Dragon Ball, and
But
this.
that's a different. But it's a different show, though, and a
Yes,
completely
but
tone.
he real. But that's what I mean. The Dragon Ball seriously has some serious moments, and it also have comedic moments, and those never feels out of place, and the characters is never in those characters aren't really annoying, so to speak. But when you have such an serious series such as this, because well, let's face it, when they are speaking about the history between Demon Slayer and Slayers and Demons, it becomes quite Attack on Titans almost. And I dare say, we have a new, sorry Ichigo, but we have a new main character that gets extremely damaged between each fight. But there is a difference between having a comedic relief and someone that sticks out in the series like a sore thumb because of his execution. And because his quote-unquote badass moments just feels like a excuse, just have an excuse that he is able to handle himself, so to speak. You can because they are just how should I put it without spoiling it a bit much. Well, with Sanjiro's sister, they're putting a spell on her in one of the earlier episodes that is supposed to help him control her so she doesn't attack humans. And then you dare to speak, why don't they capture humans, capture demons to do that constantly, to have an army of demons against each other. But that's besides the point. And it's sort of like him having his badass moment being an extremely fitting plot device that really doesn't make sense. Or should I say, it felt forced. You could just have her being a special, having her be a special scenario being the reason why she don't attack humans, instead of she must have a spell.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's not just a spell, though. It's a mixture of the two things. Because she doesn't need the spell to recognize Tanjiro. So the humanity of Nezuko is already there. What the sensei does, Urotodaki or whatever his name is, he just expands the way that humanity is already there. So I don't think it's that simple. That's what I'm saying. So the plot device is not that she will never attack humans just because of the spell, because it's the fact that she wouldn't attack Tanjiro from the beginning. That's the plot point. That's the idea. The spell that the sensei did just makes that even stronger for her to see other humans as member of her family. But she wasn't going to attack Tanjiro anyway, which is a big difference.
Okay, that's fair. That I can.
Because
I can get behind.
Yeah, because the whole thing about the pilot, which is why it's so important, is because you have the whole arc of establishing who Tanjiro is, his kind heart, the idea that he has his unique sense of smell and all that stuff, right? Which is a very interesting plot device, like and yes, it's very Bleach. In the case of Ichigo, he can see ghosts. In the case of Jujutsu Kaisen, Itadori is physically almost superhuman. In the case of Tanjiro, he has this amazing sense of smell. So he has something that's naturally his, that is just that gives him a boost when it comes to doing what he ends up doing next. But when you go to the pilot, what makes it so powerful, it's the fact that without the help of anyone, he was able to break through his sister. And his sister was able to show Giyu that she wouldn't eat him. And from there, that's where the story evolves. And keep in mind also that she was asleep for 2 years before that he goes out on his journey. So for 2 years she was sleeping, and yes, the sensei used that suggestion, but that suggestion is on top of what was already there, which what makes her case so particular. Which is why
which is
Giyu,
funny. Which is funny considering we talked about how we have a training montage and, or flash forwards in a couple of episodes, and they are adults later to challenge it all.
well, in this case it's different because at least this one,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, but I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
I know.
I know
It's
what you
just
mean.
fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Now, one of the things that this show does very well, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, is that this show does something that I think My Hero does very well as well, is that they tell a lot of story in fewer episodes, and it never feels rushed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like in the first 5 episodes, so much happens. And it feels that it's condensed in a way that it's easy to follow. That and you're willing to get behind, and you could pretty much assume that the first 5 episodes could be 1 2 hour movie. You know what I mean? Because it fits so well, it connects so
Yeah,
well, and it moves with a very good pace. Nothing feels like it's going too slow, nothing feels that it goes too fast. And you practically have all the basic information that will help you follow the lore and follow the show and stuff like that. I mean, this show does a great job of explaining things and of walking you through what's going on in the world. Now, one of the things to me that stands out to the show that I really love is the animation. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to you before we talk about as we talk about the animation is, did you know that ufotable does a lot of animation for video games?
that makes a lot of sense, honestly.
They do a lot. They do the opening shorts and animations for Code Vein. They do it for God Eater. They do it for the Tales games, like a lot of the opening anime shorts and stuff like that. It's ufotable.
This makes so much sense then on how it looks.
And one of the things that I love about the show is that apart from the fact that the drawing animation looks beautiful, it's how they use um the palette of colors that you normally see in like Japanese folkloric paintings to illustrate the special abilities.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said the animation was weird because somehow it looked 3D animated, but it fit within its animation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was animated a bit. I would almost say fully coolest comedic with the
Yes.
oversaturation, which is one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I don't think the character works. A certain character we talked about this works considering the. But anyway, and then we have all traditional folklore paintings as a way of showing the special abilities, and I'm just the it is gorgeous and it works within. Although we'd argue, then we can argue about the middle part, but it isn't ugly animation at least.
What do you mean by the middle part?
It connects with the whole. It fits within those gags that you want to do, but you know what I mean with what I think how they execute the comedy in this movie series.
Okay. Okay. No, and I get it, but and I can understand that. But the but you have to agree that, especially like you said, the mixture of the Japanese art style color palettes and forms and lines, how it inflates the different abilities that the different demons and the different demon slayers have, to me is something very unique to this show. And I think with so many anime out there, especially when you have an anime that's an action oriented anime that has power ups and stuff like that, it's always about how do you distinguish the abilities from other shows. You know what I mean? How do you make it stand out? Where when you watch the show, this is like, oh, okay, this is awesome. Like, like for example, you don't want to look at the show and say, oh, this reminds me of Bleach, or oh, this reminds me of Naruto. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the show that looks like this other show. You want to be your own thing. And I think this is one of those shows that does that in spades. Apart from the fact that the action of the show is phenomenal. Like the action sequences of the show to me are fantastic, are great. Like
That I can agree on.
the choreographies,
That I can.
yeah, like even like for example, even those characters that you don't like, the battles where they're featured are very good. You know what I mean? Like at least when
In
it
terms
comes
of in terms of choreography, at least.
exactly. So like it's one of those things that's very consistently good. Which is why I am not surprised that this show blew up as much as it did. You know what I mean? This show blew up as much as it did, and it's for good reason because the show is fantastic. Um, now, it is the first season is
I've seen better.
now. Do you say that just because of those particular characters, or are there other things that you do not like?
Those particular characters. If you're gonna continue the covering the series, please tell me that those two gets axed off, or at least change their behavior later on, because my god, they are insufferable.
Okay, so in other words, what you're saying is that these characters, in your opinion, are breaking the show.
Um, Close, because I
Wow.
really liked the series when the siblings was together, because that was that those moments were sweet, and just it, it was more personal, and it was sweet, and it felt you could just feel the connection between the two, and that they both have grown.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I think this has the potential of being one of the biggest sibling relationships in anime. Similar, I'm not saying that there. I don't think it's there yet, but you gotta admit that there's a little bit of full metal in this.
Yeah,
In ter-
absolutely,
in terms of how the sibling relationship is like the cornerstone of the show, you know, and
absolutely.
how they communicate and how they come together. Um, and you know how I feel about Full Metal, which is
Yeah,
one of
you love that one. I know.
and I like how this particular show makes that a thing, and how them it's all about them being together. Of course, Tanjiro is if Edward Elric wasn't hot headed, he would be Tanjiro. um,
Yeah,
so I like that he follows that type of character. Um, and I really want to see more of them because I think it's a beautiful dynamic. And Nezuko is like the cutest character I've seen in a long time. I think it's the cutest character I've seen in a long time in a serious show. Does that make sense? Because you know that this show has
yeah,
really dark, really serious moments, but she's so cute. Like there's so many moments that are literally built for you to go, "Aw." Like they're just built for that. and I think it fits very well with their dynamic. Like to me, one of the most cutest moments is when she goes and when he goes, "Hey Nezuko, I made this basket," and he goes like, "You know how you got really big? Is there any way that you can get small?" And then she does, and then my heart breaks. like that kind of dynamic between them and her
Which
becoming like a baby again to a degree because of her animalistic form taking, you know, I think it's pretty cool. Now, I think this is one of the most streamlined training montages I've seen ever in anime. Because you know how in
yeah,
anime you kind of see training and it takes like 10 episodes or more. Let's not talk about Dragon Ball Z, where Goku was in a hyperbolic time chamber for like 30 days, like 30 episodes before he came out with Gohan Super Saiyan 2. But like so much training and growth occurs in those first 5 episodes. And I think I've never seen I don't think I've seen an anime do it that quickly, but that's successfully where it's meaningful to the story. You know what I mean? Like it's not
yeah,
it never brushes off the amount of work that Tanjiro put in it, and I think it all has to do with the animation and the character designs. Like to me, one of the most brilliant things of the show is the fact that you see his hair grow while he's training. You see the wounds in his hands, and how every time you see Tanjiro's hands, they're all full of blisters and like they're all rough for holding the sword so long. Like those tiny little details that the show pays attention to, I think those are the kind of things that make the attention to detail very nice. Because very few shows go down to that amount of detail. You know what I mean?
yeah. That I can,
And
and that I know what you mean, and yeah, that I can agree with.
um now how do you feel about this show being one of those that tells you who the villain is from the get-go? How do you feel about that?
Considering the context of the series and all that, yes, I think it fits.
Yeah. And but the biggest thing I think, second to that, one of the biggest risks I think that the show takes, which is very interesting, is not only that they present who the villain is from the get-go, the hero and the villain meet in episode 5. No, not episode 5. They meet like halfway through the season. And 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 you kind of have a glimpse of how serious of a danger this Musan Kibutsuji is. And I really want to see more of this guy. I like how he's cold and calculating, how he has different roles, how he changes depending on what he's trying to do. And I like how he's a mixture of high class and sophisticated, but deadly and grotesque. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like he reminds me a lot. He reminds me a lot of a lot. Who does he remind me of? I have it in the tip of my tongue. Um, I don't want to say that name because it's cliche, but he reminds me a lot of. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it.
I don't know.
He reminds me a lot about. He reminds me a lot of Sephiroth in the sense that he is this like high end person. You know what I mean? Like nobody looks at Sephiroth and thinks that he's just a dude. No, Sephiroth is like soldier top class. You know what I mean? Like he's like the greatest
Yeah,
warrior. Socially, he has the stature. Like Musan Kubutsuji looks like this high end character. Like this guy is wealthy. This guy is strong. This guy projects. This guy brings silence to a room authority wherever he goes. But then when you see like towards the end of the season where he has the meeting with all of his demons, right? The way he is, you're like, oh my god, he's a monster. You know what I mean? Like, apart from the fact that he is this high
Mm.
profile person, he still is a monster. Like, he still is a demon, and you can see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's like one of those characters. Like, you haven't even seen my final form. You know what I mean? So,
that's an understatement.
what do you think about the demon character designs and the different demons that we've seen so far?
That's I. It's a more. How should I put it? I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but I do find them very fitting towards the how they portray. As in, the design-wise fits within the contracts on how he wants to portray the world. Does that make sense? As in, portray the world, as in his designs, his character designs, his world design, just that sort of thing.
Yeah, none of them look out of place. They all look
Yeah,
like, especially like, for example, when you get to the one that has all the drums on him, like all the drums are traditional Japanese drums. You know what I mean?
yeah,
When you go
exactly.
to the one that's like a spider, he doesn't look like you see all the spider elements and stuff like that. But it makes you think that you're watching something that could have been drawn in Japan. Like, if everything feels timely and is specific to the era, nothing looks too modern to raise an eyebrow. You know what I mean? And I
Speaking of, yes, a fine soundtrack. Is it Funimation that is dubbing Demon Slayer?
let me see. Uh, t- 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 no, it's Aniplex.
Aniplex.
Aniplex
We,
is the one that licensed it in North America. So I'm assuming they're doing the dub.
yeah, because they have gone pretty much all in with the voice as for dub here. We have the likes of Robbie Damon, Ray Chase, Sandra Mobius, which is, in case you didn't know, Joker from Persona 5. They have
Nice.
Steve Bloom as the drummer. They have Erika Harlasher, which is Violet in Violet Evergarden, and in Persona we have Matthew Mercer, Levi. We have we have Johnny Young Bosch also,
Who
and
plays
Bryce
who plays the voice of Tanjiro?
Zach Aguilar. He's have you you know the robot apprentice for the One Punch Man.
Oh, he's the voice of Genos.
Genos, yes, and he is the voice of male Violet also.
Nice.
In which, considering he's in Smash Bros.
Right. And who plays the voice of Muzan Kibutsuji, like the villain? Who plays the voice of the villain?
Greg Shun. He is known as, well, Ike in Fire Emblem, which is who talks about fighting for his friends. Let me see here. I think you would recognize him as, for example, Garu in the One Punch Man. Where is it? He's also Carmine in Blaze Blue Cross Tag.
Nice. I mean, I'm not surprised that they gone all in on this show, because this show blew up like crazy. And to think, and I wouldn't be
And
surprised.
I don't need to mention how Robbie Damon is, right?
Well, share with the
And
class.
Ray Chase, that is.
Share with the class.
Robbie Damon is Ray Chase. Final Fantasy geeks is Noctis, and Robbie is what the fuck is that character's name?
What game?
Hi
is it?
there, opening. He's one. Yeah, also Fire Emblem 15.
Okay.
I'm talking about Gunman. What's the name of him?
Oh, Prompto. Prompto.
Prompto. Thank you.
Yeah, Prompto. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this show. I mean, they've gone like animation wise. They're not sparing anything. Voice acting wise, they're not sparing anything. I mean, this is a top tier show. Like it is. I know you have your gripes about it, but I'm glad that I think you can agree with me that what it does right, it does super right. You know what I mean? What it does well, it transcends the usual. And there's a reason why this show blew up as much as it did. And I wouldn't be surprised if everyone that actually watches
A
this
lot
episode
of
is
a lot of it is easily because of how kawaii the sister is. I can guarantee you that.
that is, and that's the thing. I think that kind of dynamic or that kind of character broadens the appeal of the show. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be people that are going to watch it because of the story. There's going to be people that are going to watch it because of the action, and there's some people that are going to watch it because of Nezuko. You know what I mean? You have this
Yeah.
wide variety of people that are watching the show for this wide variety of reasons that I think it's pretty interesting how it's
Also,
happened. How it's happened.
she's also Persona 5 voice actress. And the English voice actress for the intro song in Super Smash Bros. She's the punk doctor in Persona 5.
Ooh, Megumi. But yes, I mean this show is very good. Are you gonna keep watching it? I am, and I'm excited to watch the movie whenever it decides to come out. Supposedly, it's gonna have a broader release sometime before April, and I can't wait to watch this movie.
Um, I'm. If we're covering it, continue covering it.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. So you're only gonna keep watching it if we're gonna continue covering it. So, and that's fair. And that's fair. I actually love the show a lot. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see more of it. I know there's a lot of people that are dying to watch the next story arc. Now, let's talk about the unusual way the season ends. Because has there ever been a show that wraps the season announcing a canon movie? I've never seen that before. Have you seen that before?
Not that I can recall.
Like
I
it's a
probably
very
have. I probably have one once without forgotten. I probably have, but I can't remember it right now.
yeah. To me, it's kind of crazy because I it doesn't only just end like the way it ends. It tells you this concludes this. It literally says this concludes this arc, which they're calling the coming of age arc. And now,
Which
and
makes sense to call it that.
right, and then it goes. Next arc is the Infinite Train arc, which we know that Infinite is what translates to Mugen in Japanese, which is because the movie's called Demon Slayer Mugen Train. Um, and it says film adaptation greenlit. So this movie was greenlit at the end of towards the end of the season, which the season wrapped in September 2019. The movie came out late last year, 2020. So apparently they're covering the entire arc in this film. So I'm pretty confident it's going to be a long film. It's going to be like 2.5 hours probably. It looks like it's going to be action packed. It's gonna feature this new fire type based samurai. By the way, it is. I feel that it's super Power Ranger ish and super RPG ish. That each of the Hashina Demon Slayers are all element based in one way, shape, or form. Like they all have their different
Yeah.
types of powers. I find that so RPG, so Power Rangerish. And it's funny how we're stuck with the three basic elements in the train because you have the Hashina fire type, you have Tanjiro, which is the water type, and then you have your favorite character, Zenitsu, which is the lightning type.
Yeah, he's such a lightning speaker when he is trying to get on my nerves. That's for sure.
One of these days, if I ever go to Sweden, I'm going to cosplay as him so you can shut your door in my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the movie has made too much money and it's going to keep making money. Now, I don't know if you know this, Isaac, but did you know that this is one of those shows that the manga is complete?
Is it complete already? I thought it
Yes.
was.
No, the
I
manga's
thought it
done.
was closed.
No, it's done. So if you wanted to watch, if you read the manga, you can read Demon Slayer from beginning to end because the manga is over. So
Huh.
so
It's isn't it Shonen Jump manga?
I think so. I know it's
I'm surprised
available.
that
Go
I'm
ahead.
surprised that Shonen Jump I'm surprised that Shonen Jump didn't tell the mangaka about spreading the series out, so it could be a longer show and a longer series, so to speak.
Yeah, it went on for 23 volumes and then it ended. My friend Jeremy has read the whole thing. So it's one of those. It's one of those. But yeah, guys, I'm pretty confident that everybody that has tuned in to this episode that we've talked on Demon Slayer has already seen Demon Slayer. Tell us what you think. You know how Isaac Zing feels. You know how I feel. You've heard the things that we've disagreed on. You've heard the things that we agree on. But it's safe to say that the more important thing is that we can both agree on the fact that we can see how this show can appeal to a variety of people. And I think that is one of those shows that you give a chance. Maybe you feel like me, maybe you feel like Isaac, or maybe you just think that Netsuko is damn cute. But either way, this might be a show that's for you. So go check out Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. If you want to read the manga, it's available on the Viz manga app. Subscription is only $3 a month, and you can read as many mangas as you can. That's where I read Jujutsu Kaisen. That's where I read My Hero Academia, and that's where I might start reading Demon Slayer. So go check it out. Demon Slayer is also available on Funimation. It's available on Crunchyroll. Isaac, did you watch it on Crunchyroll or Bakanim?
Wakamin.
It's on Vakamin in Scandinavia, but it's available worldwide. Hopefully, whenever the movie comes out, I can convince Isaac to watch it with me so we can cover it and we can hear how much he loves Zenitsu. You know what, Isaac?
Dude, if
think-
I can stomach it through the Evangelion series again, I can stomach through the Demon Slayer movie.
I actually feel that a miracle happened today, Isaac. Just like you keep saying that I love End of Evangelion, which I don't. Now I can say that you love Zenitsu. See, there's a balance that has to be brought back to the force.
No, you can't, because we all know because I said that I can at least stomach to watch that. And so in some that just means that I may have more mental capacity to go through um, stuff I'm more annoyed at than you.
Well, some people are better than others. But yes, here we are. Thank you for joining us at the Amateur Otaku Podcast. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to hear more of us, subscribe to our channel, like this video, and click on the bell for notifications so you don't miss any episode that we have. I'm sorry?
And I'm gonna mute my DM box because potential Demon Slayer fans be
Who knows?
before.
Who knows? It might be a similar situation like Sword Art Online, where the crowd is divided. You're gonna have those that hate Zenitsu as much as you do. You guys will form a team, and then we'll go full Twilight, Team Zenitsu, Team. No, you don't want to do that.
No.
But yes. So if you want to listen to our YouTube channel, subscribe there. Share with your friends. If you want to listen to in the podcast, the Amateur Otaku Podcast is available on Spotify, available on Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher, and many more. Isaac, before we head out, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me at Emblemaniac on Twitter, like you see down below, and you can find my work at Woban Entertainment.
And you can find me on Twitter at the Scarlet Fan 52. You can find me on Instagram at the Scarlet Fan 52. And you can find me on Facebook as Brandon Alvarado. I write my own music. Sometimes I share it. I write poetry and stuff like that. And I also do stuff for Wobam Entertainment. We're going to be revamping the show very soon. The Amateur Otaku is partnering with Wobam as another place where we can post anime-related stuff, not just what we do on YouTube and podcasts, but also reviews and written articles on anime and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for more stuff as Wobam rises from the ashes to be the awesome site that is meant to be. And if you like what we're doing, send us your questions, your suggestions for future episodes on Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod, or you can send us an email, amateurotaqurtf@gmail.com. That is amateurotaqurtf@gmail.com. We have a full catalog of shows that we're going to be covering from now to March. But keep in mind, if you recommend us a show, we're going to put it on the top of the list because we want to cover the shows that you want us to cover, whether because you want to talk about it or whether because you want to decide whether or not the show is for you. Because as you know, we love talking anime with people that love it, but also want to talk anime with people that don't know if it's for them. And we want to provide you a good review and idea so you can go check the show for yourself. That's what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast. So thank you for joining us. Have peace, guys. Have it awesome.
Hello.